All right, this afternoon on WGAL News 8 at 4, we're taking you on a unique tour of the Susquehanna Valley.
News 8's Jerry Gish reports from Dauphin County.
Hi guys, yeah, this is a pretty neat idea. It is indeed called the Lost Pint Tours, and you know about kind of standard pub crawls and certainly about history tours. We have a lot of those around this area. How about combining the two? Yeah, great idea, right? Eugene Showers joins me now. He's been doing these Lost Pint Tours for about a year and a half now. Where'd you come up with an idea to do something like this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I get that a lot. Basically, it kind of spurred out of this need to show my friends around, right? So I lived in Europe for a little while. Yeah. I married a Polish woman, so I have a lot of people from Europe coming to visit, and so I really take pride in our area. And the Susquehanna River is beautiful.
It is.
And so I took these people around, and they're all having fun times. So they're like, hey, let's go stop and have a beer, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of how it was born.
Now we're showing a little bit of the van here. So when you do these tours, you do usually at least 6 people, and you take them around the van.
That's right.
Yeah.
At least 6 people, up to 11.
Yeah.
You know, the reason for that is because I like the idea of having a nice, intimate
Sure.
setting where you can actually discuss ideas and thoughts and educational, topics, and
Right.
not have to feel that you're anonymous in a large group.
Sure. Now here we're actually outside a building, and I think Ken, my photographer, can show H.A. Hartman and Son Moving and Storage. This is one of the historical stops on the tour, right?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
So-
this has a connection to some whiskey production.
It certainly does. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. So Highspire Whiskey, it started in 1829. So this is their storehouse where they would store all the whiskey barrels for aging purposes.
Right.
So
it is really fascinating. I mean, he has about a dozen or so different tours. There's one that goes to Philadelphia. So we're going to take you to some historic spots. We're going to start by going up on the 7th floor of this building. It's really neat. We'll do that next time around, and then we're going to make a couple other stops that are included in the Lost Pint Tour. Pretty neat. We'll see you throughout the hour. For now, send it back to you.
This afternoon on WGAL News 8 at 4, we are going on a pub crawl through history.
WGAL News 8's Jerry Gish has more from another spot in Lancaster County.
Hello there again, guys. Yes, we are talking about Lost Pint Tours. Really a cool combination of both history and wine and beer and some, well, whiskey as well. In fact, we're going to talk more about that right now. We're here with Eugene Showers once again. You host these Lost Pint Tours. Really a cool idea, and we told you more about that a couple of minutes ago. Now tell us, we're here in Highspire. Tell us about this historic building we're in right now.
Sure. What's interesting about this building is 1823, Robert Wilson decided he's going to make a distillery. $900 is what the money he had to create this building. However, this is just the storehouse where the product was stored. The whiskey distillery is gone now. It was razed and it was put out of business during Prohibition. But what's very interesting and unique about Highspire Whiskey is the fact that they had an aging process that was quite unique. They would age the whiskey in wine barrels, which is very cool, and that's what this building is.
Yeah,
it was built in 1901.
When we see here, what was this exactly?
Right. So these were like some cross beams were set into place here, and stacked on top of the cross beams were each of the barrels of whiskey, and depending on what floor they were on, they would be a little bit hotter towards the top. They would age a little quicker.
And we're pretty high here. We're 7th floor,
right.
So it's a little warmer up here.
Yep.
And you have something right here. Tell us about what you have here. This is
right. So Highspire Whiskey is actually still being produced today down in Kentucky. The whiskey itself is not exactly original. In other words, they're not aging it in wine barrels anymore, but it's made in Kentucky. They bought the rights to the name, still being produced today.
Wow, how about that? So. And by the way, drank probably during the Civil War by
Correct.
some of the, yeah.
That's right.
So,
see, during Robert E. Lee's push north to capture Harrisburg, New York troops were sent down to try to defend. They hastily built forts right there outside on the other side of the river, Susquehanna River, in Lemoyne. And I guarantee you these New York troops were probably drinking this whiskey.
How about that? So there you go, the confluence of history and maybe something you enjoy drinking at home, perhaps. All right, much more. We're going to head to another location on the Lost Pint Tour. We'll see you from there in just a bit. For now, back to you.
All afternoon on WGAL News 8 at 4, we've been learning more about the history of the Susquehanna Valley through beer and wine.
And News 8's Jerry Gish continues our Lost Pint Tour in Lancaster County.
Hello once again. Yes, we are kind of following some of the sites on the Lost Pint Tours. What a beautiful day today around the Susquehanna Valley, by the way. We have moved from Highspire down to Bainbridge, right along the Susquehanna River. And this is pretty interesting. I'm joined once again by Eugene Showers. He heads up the Lost Pint Tours. Tell us what this is, because it is fascinating.
Yeah, so this is the Pennsylvania Canal. What's interesting about this canal is what started it was the Erie Canal. So the Erie Canal is the famous one,
Right.
made a lot of money, it was expanded multiple times. It was called the Great American Experiment by the Europeans because nothing like it had ever been done
Right.
before. Now, what makes it so amazing is the fact that the elevation changes along the Erie Canal were just incredible. In one town, it's called Locksport. They have actually 6 or 7 locks back to back to back, one right after another, just to overcome that elevation change. Now, what we're looking at here is the Pennsylvania Canal. It's much smaller. Unfortunately, it was never profitable.
Never successful.
Never successful, yeah. And of course, everybody asked me, well, so what happened to him? Well, the railroad put him out of business.
Right.
So.
And it is beautiful just to look at this. I mean, obviously a little bit overgrown, but it is amazing to look at what they did here and then, see the beauty of the nature here as well.
Right.
Yeah, it really is neat.
Getting in touch with our history through ruins. It's such a cool thing.
And on your Lost Pint tours, you do a lot with the river, don't you? I mean, the Susquehanna River is kind of an important part of it.
Right, it sure is. Yeah, it's got a long history. They have evidence of magma diapers kind of coming up out of the breaking the surface of the earth, and we know that because there's diabase. It's a type of stone that's out there, and some people conjecture that maybe that's how the Susquehanna River actually broke through the Appalachian Mountain chain, which goes perpendicular.
And it's fascinating.
To it.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Lost Pint Tours, you got a little bit of history, and then, as the name implies, maybe a beer or wine or some liquor involved as well. Really neat stuff. We've got one more stop for you. We're going to show you a little bit of history here in the Susquehanna Valley coming up next time. But for now, we'll send it back to you.
This afternoon, we're checking out the Lost Pint Tour in the Susquehanna Valley. You can do it. Just visit thelostpint.com. Here again is WGAL News 8's Jerry Gish in York County.
Yes, hello once again. We're stopping at some spots here that are along the Lost Pint historic tours, and we have a beautiful day for this, by the way. I mentioned that last time. Just gorgeous. Once again, we're right here along the Susquehanna River. Last time, Eugene, we were close to Susquehanna River. Now we're right here.
Right on it, yep.
So tell us what we're looking at here and why this is one of the stops that you have on the Lost Pint tours.
Right. So these bridge piers that you can see, they're actually growing out with trees at the moment. And it's actually not a good thing because the roots will destroy them eventually. But that's part of our heritage. It actually once supported the longest wooden covered bridge in the world. The river, keep in mind, is over 1 mile wide here.
Right.
So what's significant about the bridge? Well, number one, remember we talked about how Robert E. Lee was pushing north to take Harrisburg? Well, this bridge was a key strategic point for him to cross over, get to Lancaster, get to Philadelphia. So instead of letting the Confederates cross, a local militia right here in Wrightsville set it ablaze to prevent that. So that's significant. The other thing, this area, especially in Columbia on the other side, has 8 significant historical sites related to the Underground Railroad. And of course, this bridge was one way that the escaping slaves from the South crossed the river.
And one of your tours is focused on the Underground Railroad, if people want to take that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And we go into Lancaster, we talk about Thaddeus Stevens, and there's a lot of very interesting things to go into on that tour.
And do you get people from in the area, out of the area? Do you get a little bit of everybody on your tours?
Really good question. My first tour is a baptism by fire, so to speak. He was a director of a museum in South Dakota. So yeah. So here,
right there you go.
Imagine how difficult that would be, right? So I had to really brush up in my history, So it turned out well. So yeah, I got people from California, Hawaii, all over the place. We had Department of Defense employees come for tours.
That's neat.
So it's very, very nice. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much for the tour today. We appreciate it. Like I said, we had wonderful weather for it. And just a reminder, we mentioned this towards the beginning of the hour, about a dozen different tours you can take Lost Pint, all kinds of interesting things. We had a fun day out here. We certainly did. For now, we're sending it back to you guys.